Hi, I'm Steve. This is Fran. We're going to just answer appliance questions today. It may look like we're in a different place. We're actually one office apart, me and Fran today here in Framingham.
Next time
So
I'll put a
what?
fancy background or something so it looks like we're somewhere different.
Yeah, like everyone else. What do we got?
All right, let's go right to the first question here. So the first question we have today is about tariffs because it's something we just wanted to kind of start right off the top and something that we're getting, every single day from our customers as well. And it's how are tariffs going to impact the appliance industry?
Well, I spent all Sunday writing a blog post about it. And it really depends on whether the tariffs come through. But I think the Chinese tariff went through, it's 10%.
Hmm.
And that might not sound like much, but I think a lot of the parts that are needed in their appliances come from China. So that's going to affect pricing a little bit. Mexico and Canada, excuse me, Mexico specifically, has got a lot of stuff come from there. LG, Electrolux,
Hmm.
and GE, maybe some Samsung, have significant operations in Mexico, and that's gonna impact a little bit as well, even on the parts side. So even from that standpoint, that's bad. But if you get a full scale trade war, I think the last people you want to have that with is with China because they supply a lot of the parts. Um, you know, I think at this point in time, we have a glut in appliances, so I think you should be okay probably through the second quarter. After that, if it's 25% tariffs, it's going to be significant. If it's a full scale trade war, get your appliances now because we're going to have supply chain issues like we did back in 2020. But right now, I think it's personally, I think it might be a little extreme anchoring, shall we say, and a little
Hmm.
bit posturing. But I hope it doesn't come through. Obviously, I hope we can work something out.
Yeah, and definitely like as far as like price increases and things like that, we were kind of seeing that anyways a little bit kind of coming into this year with brands like Thermador, Sub-Zero Wolf having one kind of March 1st, LG having one. And I think right now with some of these brands too, it's a little bit of a waiting game, wait and see what's going to happen, how the tariff's going to affect them. So I could see some price increases for sure happening. No question if those tariffs do come to play to that extreme nature there. But I think some of it right now is, a wait and see from them too.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pro. It could be a problem.
Yeah, no question. All right, next question. This one is from Amy. Do I buy something luxury or something basic for a stove?
There was a Reddit. It came in my feed. There was a Reddit feed about somebody who is, they want to buy a Wolf, Blue Star, Miele, and they're told to buy the basic stuff like Z Line or, and I'm
Hmm.
like, Jesus, no. First of all, buy what you ever think you can, whatever it is you think you can use, and make sure there's available service. It's that simple, really. When you're looking at Z Line or Forno or Bertazzoni, I mean, you're not getting a lot of output performance, and I think you have a lot of reliability issues after the fact. With certainly Wolf, Miele, Thermador, they're not without their issues, but certainly better than the other three.
Hmm.
That said, a basic stove is going to be less, probably more reliable, only because there's less stuff, than on a pro range. So with the pro range, typically, if you're going 36, you got 6 burners, you got griddle. Um, so there's more stuff going on there. But I've had a Wolf cooktop serviced, a range top, 6 burners. One of them, igniter wasn't working. It was a 2-minute repair. So, but we have repair, so
Yeah,
so it's pretty easy for us, and it's not easy all around the country. So, really, whatever brand you find, just make sure there's available service behind it, and just make sure it's something fits your lifestyle: gas, dual fuel, induction, whatever it might be.
yeah, exactly. Tons to choose from really kind of more uh, better entry level price point to higher end. There's certainly differences between them, like you said, where on the higher end, like a more luxury, you'll get kind of more available options on bigger sizes and higher output burners. But like you always say, even these more entry level ranges today are going to have one burner that definitely competes at the highest end, a really powerful burner. It's just on some of those more luxury, you'll get maybe more of the burners will have more power, and you'll, like you said, the grill, the griddle. Sometimes I'd say too, like, you know, longevity of the appliance too. Sometimes with professional versus more of like an LG range or GE or ones like that. It's like, you know, you should expect a longer lifespan too on something that you're going to pay significantly more for too.
So you want to take some of these live
Yeah,
questions?
yeah,
Okay.
let's take them.
Monogram is newer for Yale, yes. What are you seeing with product quality, reliability, and service? Well, we do our own service, so it's the same to us. We haven't had it long enough for me to say whether it's how reliable it is. I like the product. You know the product that I like that I never thought I would, that hearth oven. Now I don't expect many people to buy it, but that thing sure works great. I mean, we
Yeah,
make pizzas on that thing, and it's really a good piece. I really like their burners. Their brass burners, which are nice.
yeah.
It looks like a good product. I don't hear anybody complaining about it, which is always a good first sign. But it's too new for me to say whether it's reliable or not.
How
What
about
about
this one from Sandra? I was going to say this is right up. You've answered this question maybe a few times before, more on black stainless. But what is the better black fridge which maintains its color even if it scratches?
anything flat black?
Hmm.
Like I would say cafe black. Who else has got black? Blue Star black, True black,
Yeah,
something that's black. You know what black steel is? That's that is a that's like a coating. It's like tape on
right.
stainless. So
Completely different. Yeah.
if you breach that, then you got stainless underneath it. It's like someone put a big piece of black tape over stainless steel.
Hmm.
So when you breach it, you get stainless underneath. So black stainless is stainless.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
big difference there. Black versus black stainless. Make sure where you're shopping, you know that difference for
yeah.
sure.
How reliable is Speed Queen versus compared to other
Mhm.
brands? Speed Queen's very reliable. LG is also very reliable. GE is very reliable, and they were all kind of like bunched in at 0.2% difference in top loads over the
Mhm.
last year. We just did a blog post about that. The thing with Speed Queen is it's got a good warranty. You just got to make sure that long warranties are good insofar as you don't have to pay anything. But for an independent servicer servicing under warranty, that's the last thing they want to do. So you got to make sure that whoever's around to fix it can fix it, right? And won't mind, like a dealer doesn't mind because they sold it to you. Typically, you would hope. You get less capacity, but it is easier to fix. I will say Speed Queen is certainly made with more steel than plastic. It's one heavy thing, but a lot of people can. I think it's a great product. But it's smaller and more expensive than an LG or GE.
Mhm.
And the long-term longevity. I mean, people think it's the old Maytag. Nothing is the old Maytag. That product left in 2001.
Yeah.
But I like the Speed Queen unit. So
All
what
right.
else do we have here?
Let's go to Daniel here. He says, curious about open burners since I know restaurants exclusively use them. The cleaning seems like it could be easier. Curious what your thoughts are. Also saw other models like Capital. Is that any good?
It's funny. Do you know why people think commercial ranges are so good? They're not. All it is just hot burners, uninsulated doors, because they don't have to be UL. There's just a range is just a hot box,
Hmm.
right? It's just something for a chef to cook something quick on. Just like the difference between that and a professional burner. Professional burners are insulated. They're they got clocks and timers on them. You get different colors. They're more aesthetically pleasing. The seal burners keep everything on it. Now, Blue Star's made a living up until recently on their dual fuel range of having an open burner. The good thing about an open burner is you can take it all apart and clean it at the sink. But restaurants don't care because they used to have people like me. I used to work as a dishwasher at one time, and we would clean the stoves, for $4 an hour. Um, but yeah, I mean, it goes either way. If you spill something on a sealed burner, you've got to clean it right there. Whereas you can just load it up and clean it by the sink, which is, I think, more convenient. But the problem is you spill a lot of stuff. Now you're cleaning that whole sub top and everything else. So it's kind of like either way, I mean, it really depends, I guess. But yeah, Capital, Blue Star, 25,000 B2 burners. Heston, however, it's got a 30,000 sealed. So I don't know. It really depends on how you use it, really. That's like my stock answer. I mean, for everything, it depends on the person that I'm talking to.
Yeah, and these burners are so powerful now. Like you said, there's even up to 30,000 BTU on sealed burners and 22 and 25 on some of these other sealed. But, I think some of the beauty too, what they say with that open burner is you're getting that flame towards the center of the pan. But even Blue Star, the brand that really is known for that open burner with their new dual fuel range and that kind of
Yes.
X8 burner, they're getting a little bit more of that flame too. Yeah.
All right. What else we have here?
So let's go to KB8 Girls. Says, thank you for your informative comment. I have a question about Wolf 36-inch induction cooktop in Brown downdraft. Is it possible to have it built in flush with the countertop?
The cooktop, yes. The downdraft, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that with a downdraft.
There's very few that can, like a Gaggenau
Is
can, but the Brown, I don't believe it can, and the Wolf really cannot either on those. So it's definitely tougher.
They're talking about flush mounting.
Flush mount, exactly.
You can't do you can do that with a Wolf.
The downdraft,
Not the downdraft.
no, with the correct. Yes, the cooktop for sure. There's a specific version. You want to get the non-trim version.
Yeah, you don't want to, anything that's non-trimmed you can build in,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
just got to be careful with how you build that in. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah, and even with those cooktops, we always say, because those you got to make sure that cut, you want to have a perfect cut, because any imperfections when you're flush mounting one of those cooktops, you can definitely see that there. And also, the one thing I always kind of talk to people about when they want to do that, it's a great look. Just know, at some point, replacement down the line can certainly be a little bit more difficult, because now you're replacing that kind of exact cutout versus something that's kind of just surface mounted. You really kind of have a little bit more wiggle
Still,
room.
you're replacing a hole. I mean, we go in these with granite saws, right? It really doesn't matter. I mean, you're gonna have to either buy it same size, which is impossible, or bigger, which is probably the case, and then we cut it, or whoever cuts it puts it back in. I didn't. You see how I didn't say anything bad about a downdraft there. You notice that?
No, I was gonna say I thought that was a layup to you right there.
Nope. They already got it. There's nothing much I can say.
All right.
What?
Let's see. Next question we have is from Kathy. Best no frills top load washer for two people.
All depends what you consider no frills. Speed Queen could be considered no frills. I don't personally, we don't sell it, but I don't personally hate the, kind of the Amana Whirlpool stuff that's inexpensive. I know Frigidaire's got it as well. Some of the better ones like LG will give you more features, which is not really what you want if you want to no frills, but it'll give you bigger capacity too. So, yeah, you might pay more for an LG, but you're getting 5.3 cubic feet, which is huge. So I don't have a problem with the Amana Whirlpool pieces,
Yeah, and then some of those Speed Queens too, like you said, you're definitely smaller capacity, more expensive. But if you're looking at Speed Queen, they make that TC version, which is kind of more old school, a little bit less water energy efficient too, but it's kind of more old school with the knobs, knob driven. Will definitely use a little bit more water. But if you're looking for more that old school type of top load wash, that would be kind of more that specific model with the Speed Queen too. More expensive for sure, but.
All right, what else we have here?
All right, next one here is coming from Patricia. Replacement for a Fisher Paykel double oven.
Well, it depends what you want, right? I mean, that's an interesting question. You do something, I like the Fisher Paykel. It's got a lot of modes to it, certainly. It depends. Are you happy with the Fisher Paykel? That's the first question. I mean, some of the Wolf and Miele are very intuitive. Janier, I'd put in that category, and we don't sell it. But certainly the Wolf and Miele, the Miele gives you that steam assist, which is nice for electric oven, gives you some moisture, so you're not baking out stuff. Really depends. I mean, you want something basic. I mean, there's some good basic units as well. Fisher Pickle, I'd say would be mid to upper.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some other interesting stuff, whether you want a French door double from like a cafe. I guess, it really depends on budget versus features, really, when it comes to an oven. Or do you split the ovens and get a single oven with a steam oven and a warm draw
Exactly.
below it?
Yeah.
You could do pretty much everything.
And certainly if it's a replacement and you're keeping your cabinetry, you definitely want to see those dimensions and how much space you have available. I know some of the previous Fisher Pickles were a little bit shorter, maybe on the double oven side compared to some of the other ones, which would be a great spot for kind of a replacement, like you said, maybe a speed oven or steam oven combination, maybe something different. Again, kind of
Sure.
depending on how you cook and what you use. But all right,
Now,
next question.
what do you
Oh,
think of the Liebherr monolith?
yep, that one. Yep. What do you think of the Liebherr monolith? A good alternative for columns of stick with the known Sub-Zero
Liebherr's
Thermador
known.
hitter.
They actually make cranes too.
Hmm.
But what do you think of Liebherr?
So I would say we sell them. We don't sell nearly as many as we do with kind of the
Mm.
more common brands. They have a great look. I would definitely say that, the stainless steel interior. I think they're okay, but I think you're not spending, you're not, it's not a huge savings, I would say, compared to maybe some of the other well-known brands. Certainly a Sub-Zero you'll pay a little bit more for. But I think the monolith columns specifically are more kind of on their higher end, which as far as kind of the look, the features, the interior, I think they do a pretty nice job with those.
Yes, except one problem. You know what the problem is? You got to service it from the back. Means you
Mhm.
got to pull it out. It's like a monster to fix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Um,
not convenient.
when talking about panelizing, it's really tough to fix. Like the product, um, but right, I think when you look at that category, there's SKS, Sub-Zero, Thermador, and they have evolved so quickly, right? So that's uh that's my opinion on that. And it wouldn't certainly bother me if you bought a Liebherr. I just think you can probably do a little better.
Yeah. Let's like
What else we
this one
got?
from Samantha here. It says, I still have all my original Kenmore kitchen appliances purchased from Sears in 2011. They have been extremely reliable. Is it unusual for brand new appliances to last 14 plus these days?
It's funny when I moved to an apartment a couple years ago, they had Kenmore Elite appliances.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenmore Elite was either made by Frigidaire or LG. Kenmore's never been a product; it's always
Right.
been made by somebody. Originally it was Whirlpool for many years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, I'll give you, for example, I had a friend call me really mad that his Sub-Zero wine cooler went on the fritz for after only like 7 years. And, he was mad, angry, 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 angry. And, I didn't want to tell him that was his choice initially anyway. But I asked him one specific question. Did you ever clean the compressor underneath? And it's silence. So yeah, I think a lot of the stuff you can certainly get 10 to 14 years if you do it. If you get ice makers, cleaning the ice makers,
Mm-hmm.
making sure the compressor's clean underneath your fridge every once in a while. Um, simple maintenance stuff that our service department talks about. Um, I don't think things were built like the way they used to, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not altogether a bad thing. Your refrigerator that lasts 30, 40 years is consuming tons of energy. So yeah, it may not last as long, but the savings you're getting incrementally overcome whatever years you have, extra years you would have gotten from something original.
Yeah. The
So really,
trade-offs for sure.
but I see a lot of things last. It's just with the internet, bad is always better. You never get a post with 1 million likes about somebody loving anything, but you certainly get it, when you see someone's kitchen flooded out from a bad valve or something. So
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to Daniel. It says, do either of you have an integrated grill or griddle with your range? Wanted to know if it makes more sense just to keep those outdoors or if you find them convenient to use indoors.
it's funny. I have a 6 burner at my house. My ex wanted 6 burners. I wanted induction or a griddle. So, but she did the cooking. I love the griddle. I mean, you go to any kind of like, uh, I go to the diner in Watertown or any of those breakfast places. They make all that stuff on a griddle, all of it. I mean, the old Yale used to be next to a place called Demos. It was crowded, and this guy made hamburgers, hot dogs, omelets, like hash browns, like everything's on the griddle. I think there's real utility to it, and the grill. I mean, when we look at a Wolf grill, it's an infrared sear element, right? And if that doesn't sound familiar, the Lynx that you buy for 10,000 is a sear burner. You can get a sear burner on a Lynx or an all sear burner, right? So there is utility. The problem with putting them inside is now you have to vent. Seriously, I mean you're talking 12 to 1500 CFM to get all that stuff out of your house, which a lot of people just forget to do or don't do. And you see all these pictures in houses with even 60-inch ranges and no vents. It's like, wow. I guess you don't have to worry about makeup here, but still, that's really tragic for your kitchen in your house if you're not doing that. So if you're going to do a grill or griddle, and that's something you want to do, absolutely, there's some great stuff out there. You just got to vent it.
Yeah, I have a 30-inch, so it's all burners. And my preference here too, and again, it is one of those kind of personal preferences, but I always say I think you gain more flexibility when you have the burners. And you can always do, a third-party cast, like a really nice cast iron griddle that you can put over the burners. And it may not be quite the same as a built-in griddle, but I just think you get more flexibility long-term when you have all those burners and you're not permanently taking two of those away for, whatever reason.
But once again, it depends on what you use.
Exactly,
right?
For
Because
sure.
the integrated griddle is going to be better than any portable cast iron.
No question.
Right?
Yep.
So if you're only using 4 burners, I think a griddle is a good call, right? If you're going to use 6 burners, then buying a portable griddle is probably a better call.
Yeah.
And it really depends on what you want to do. But I think the integrated griddles and grills work pretty well. But then again, if you need burners, you can always get, to your point, obviously 6 burners and
yeah. And between those two, and even like you said, like really how you use it, but between those two, I think you definitely get more flexibility with a griddle as opposed to a grill. You can usually do more with the griddle, but yeah, it really depends on what you cook too. And if there's pieces that you're going to make way more on a grill than you would in a griddle, then that definitely makes more sense.
All right, what else? We got 2 Cougs.
Let's see. Yes, so for new house, Sub-Zero fridge, Bosch induction cooktop, Bosch or Miele wall oven in microwave, warming drawer, dishwasher, Miele wall oven coffee system, and a Bosch stacked washer and dryer. See anything wrong with this?
No.
No, good stuff.
I like Sub-Zero is probably the best fridge you can buy. That Bosch induction cooktop is the most reliable induction cooktop you can buy. You can go to a Thermador and Gaggenau and get the Liberty or whatever, but that's a solid cooktop.
Yeah.
I like the Miele wall with the steam assist, but Bosch is not bad. Instead of the micro, I'd go with the steam oven, but a lot of people use a warming drawer. Use a microwave. I don't anymore. Dishwasher, great. Miele coffee, Miele coffee. My sister has and loves it. She makes blueberry espresso. It's fantastic. Wash and dry, I like it. I like Miele better though.
Definitely.
And I like the bigger units better than that. So if you can get a bigger unit, like even LG and G, you're going to pay less and get more capacity. But overall, I think that's well done.
Yeah, good choices. All right, next question. This one comes from, this one's from Ellen. Best, right on it. So best stackable washer and dryer, not an all-in-one.
For reliability, I would say LG. G's got some good features. Samsung is decent. I mean, you only get 5 places to buy a washer and dryer, and all are pretty good. I mean, we don't sell Electrolux. LG is considered the most reliable and really probably best in class. I would say G would be right after that. The Samsung is very technologically forward. They're just very difficult when there are problems. Whirlpool's good, but it's expensive for what you get. But my parents like it. It's all push button, and they don't call me asking me how to use it. So some utility to that. It's with the simple controls, and Electrolux has got the that boost where they mix everything, which is really the same thing as an auto dispenser. But all five have got their good points, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I like a lot of them too. Have made it easier when they're stacked to have the controls. The LG wash tower with the controls right in the middle, and just a lot of these now you have the Bluetooth compatibility where you can control the dryer with the washer anyway, so you really don't have to reach up. Certainly makes it easier. Let's go to this one from Daniel too, kind of another follow-up. I like this one. It says, I like broiling a lot. Do the newer multi-pass electric ones compete with infrared? Any electric broilers stand out as particularly good? And this is a good comment and a question really about kind of like gas versus electric and broiling too.
Well, it is a good question. And the answer to that is no. I know, was it Viking that made a big deal about putting it under glass or something like that, a burner? But really, I think, infrared is a directed heat, whereas gas is like, when you turn the gas burner on, it spreads the heat and spreads the heat out of the actual pot. So it's only 60% efficient, but infrared's very efficient.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any electric ones that can compete with gas, quite honestly. I think it's just, they get that heat source on the top. I guess you can broil. But then again, I don't see too many people with electric grills either. But it's a good question.
And this is like where we always talk about that dual fuel versus electric too. If you do a lot of roasting and things like that, gas just really being a moister heat is better for that sort of cooking regardless. Whereas electric, if you do a lot of baking, it's a drier heat, more precise temperature. So there's pros and cons to both, again, depending on how you cook. But for broiling, really gas infrared is going to be always better because it's not going to dry it out and add more moisture into the cooking.
This is a good question right here. Any chance you could provide more depth to the service info you provide? For example, percentage of service call for a particular brand require more than X of days to get required parts, etc. Okay. This is a good question. And here's what happens when you have a service call at Yale, right? What we do is we pre-diagnose. We have service techs that pre-diagnose the calls. Hopefully, we'll have AI to help us in the future. So we pre-diagnose the calls, get it and send it to the warehouse. Warehouse puts it on a courier van, and the courier van sends it to the tech, and the tech goes to your house. Typically, it's a 6-day turnaround. There isn't anything that bad from a part standpoint right now, like it was 2-3 years ago when you couldn't get anything. But that's our process. Now, let's just say you got a gas leak or refrigerator call. We're going to send someone out there to at least get whatever it is working. But typically, that's the turnaround, because what we want to do, and is better for the customers, is to fix it the first time, right? Now there are some cases we keep a lot of parts in stock. We can do it in a day or two. But typically, if it's a more arcane one-off problem, that's what we do. But we do have, tons. It's one of the reasons why we bought a warehouse, is to have parts, and we try to turn things around. But we find that going through a pre-diagnosis process cuts the chances of going out with the wrong parts, or going out there more than one time, because nobody wants us out there more than one time. So that's the deal. But if there's something you don't have a refrigerator, we're gonna get it up and running if we don't have the part, and then come back. So that's the process.
So I think we got time for one more here. Let's go to MN Gold. It says, I'm looking for an alternative to the KitchenAid drawer refrigerator. KitchenAid price seems high. I'm not sure if we're talking about just the regular fridge with kind of the external
the 5-door.
doors.
Yeah. The 5-door?
Yep. The full depth 5-door. Yeah.
That 5-door. I'm not a fan of that. And I'm not really a fan of drawer refrigerators, which is odd because I've got the Sub-Zero 2-drawer refrigerator. And the problem with drawer refrigerators is the refrigerator goes up too high. So really that top glass shelf, is not going to be something you're going to be going to very much. But really, I would just, to me, the best replacement for a KitchenAid drawer refrigerator is just an LG or Samsung or whatever, just French door
Definitely.
refrigerator. That's what
Yeah.
I think.
And even at a lesser price point, even Bosch makes some really nice ones too, with or without a drawer as well. At definitely a lesser price point than what you're going to see with the KitchenAid.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're indoor grill is a pain to clean. Well, it depends. But I think the infrareds are a little bit better because they typically burn the drippings off. If we're talking about a regular or gas grill, all that does is really kind of spread flames.
Hmm.
And it's not quite as hot. So there is more splatter you got to clean, quite honestly. So is that it or one more or
Yeah, you want to take one more?
yeah,
We can
maybe.
take one more.
Sure.
Let's do this one. Let's end on Suzanne. It says, what do you think of a SMEG range for a friend's daughter? Price is a consideration. And I think this goes back a lot of times to what we talk about really, like with the brands and who's going to service it.
We carried Smeg a long time ago in Vertizoni, and they're beautiful ranges. It's a place that particular range is those particular ranges are really, really nice until you use them, right? We're not talking about something with output. We were talking about broilers. The average broiler in an American's like what? Blue Star is the lowest at 15,000. Miele is the highest at 23,000. So let's call the average 20. Getting less than half that on a average Italian range. Not getting the output, and these things are finicky. So I don't think of buying a Smeg unless you love the way it looks and you won't use it.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion.
There we go. Good one to end it on.
Well,
With
this
that,
one here,
yep.
because we get a lot of this stuff. 4-year-old LG, no heat, no sanitized, developed wet dog smell right away. Comes and goes, never happened with the old one. Clean, follow directions. It's funny because my Miele has got that kind of smell. So I just run it on a hot wash, and then I just run it, and it goes away. I would check the filter, check the water, make sure there's no like standing water where that could happen. Because we just took there's another one here that's called Butter Bosch. Remember?
Yeah, and especially if you're not, if it's sitting there, like you said, for a couple days or so and not
Yeah,
running.
I put it on a rinse.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, they make like the fresh tabs for washer machines, which I think a lot of people definitely use, and they have similar things for dishwashers too, because it does have a lot of water and scale that can definitely build up over time, especially if it's sitting there, so you definitely want to kind of keep that clean for sure.
Mm. I think that's it. When's our next one? In a couple weeks? Oh yeah, we're sponsored by us, so one of the things we always say is it's a good time to buy around holidays, although it's been a good time to buy appliances for the last couple of years. With a lot of appliances, we've been on Black Friday since 2023, but it is a little bit better. We have a sale event you might want to consider. So probably you'll have similar sales, although we have got cooking and a bunch of other stuff that I think you guys might find unique. So that's about it. Well, when's our next one? A couple weeks?
Couple of weeks. I think 3 weeks from today is the next one.
Yeah, I'm going on vacation. So are you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
School vacation. Listen, we're stuck to the school calendars at this point.
Yeah. February vacation.
Exactly.
All right. See you guys in 3 weeks, and